What's going on, everybody? It is yours truly, Jay Smoothie, and folks, we have officially hit that point in the football season, in the college football season, where the regular season's done. The bowl games have now all been set. I, of course, will release my bowl game guide. Actually, I'll do it later on in the week. I'll do it later on in the week since bowl season starts next week, coming up really fast. But, folks, today, real quick, I'm going to go through Army, Navy, and give you guys my prediction for this. It is as close as it's been in a good amount of years. Usually with Army, Navy, the record of their regular season doesn't matter too much because these guys always play each other like it's a huge championship game. As you can even see, just with the match predictor, a lot of people are split down the middle. Navy 4-7 this year, a bit of a rough year for Navy. Same with Army at 5-6, considering the year they had last season. And to be honest, you know, normally these two squads do very well during the regular season, and normally they're able to be competitive. But this year didn't really happen for them a lot. Not a lot of points scored. I mean, just on the fact of Navy, that is, on the fact of Navy, pretty tough end of the season to be honest. I mean, they beat UCF, they lost Notre Dame, lost Cincinnati, and of course they had other. Well, they beat Temple, and then of course they lost to Houston. But then looking at Army, they won three out of their last five, whereas Navy lost three out of their last five. Navy lost three out of their last five. Army won three out of their last five, beating Massachusetts and Connecticut, which unfortunately, those two schools are not top of the line of football, but still they're D1. Troy was a close loss. Air Force in the Battle of the Academies before this one was a tough loss for Army. And of course, they beat Louisiana Monroe. So, again, a very rough season. And like in the losses, they lost by a point and they lost by a touchdown for Army. For Navy, in the recent losses, lost by a field goal, lost by a field goal and a touchdown, and then pretty much lost by 18 points by Houston, got outclassed. So it's been a rough year for both schools, but one thing I will say, both of these schools are primed to play each other in a very physical game. I expect a lot of physicality. I expect both teams to come out just firing on all cylinders in terms of the run game, in terms of trying to establish dominance early and often, because that's the one thing about Navy and Army. The games are always a war of attrition. It's always about who can impose their will first, who can control the line of scrimmage, who can control the running game, who can, drain the most clock while putting up the most points. It's always that same sort of battle. And, watching this rivalry every year, it seems to get better and better. But one thing's for sure, whichever team can run the football the best is going to have the best game. Looking at the forecast at the bottom, it seems as if it'll be like it looks like it'll be a 42-degree day, which is going to be cold for out here on the East Coast. It's going to be in Philadelphia too, Philadelphia, PA. So yeah, going to be a cold day in Philly, and usually a cold day in Philly means a lot of running for both the academies. I expect their run games to be at the top. I expect both of them to do very well in the run game, and as you can see, just for running yards, for total yards and whatnot, just yards rushing in terms of total yards. Navy is 239, and of course 304 for Army, just statistically. When it comes to playing each other, normally Army is the more, like I say, like the more rushing team. I should say they have more rushing yards. But what's going to be interesting for me is how the defenses are going to hold up, because even though Army, they run a lot more, at the same time they give up more points and they give up more yards. So they're going to be able to put up points with Army, but can they keep Navy out of the end zone? Can they keep them off of the board? I'm not so sure they can. I can easily see this game going to overtime. But you know what? Because it's a close game, because it's a toss up, the home field advantage is going to go to Army, since this game will be in Philadelphia, PA, where the Army base is. So usually whoever gets the home field advantage usually wins, but even so, the both of the academies are going to show up. The Army fans will be there, Navy fans will be there. I am going to choose Navy, and I'm going to go in Navy because again, this is a razor thin matchup. Both teams have had a struggle this season. The record's not too far off. Army just has one more win, but even so, they both had a similar type season where it's all going to come down to the running game. Of course, it's all going to be on Fafana and on Tyler. Essentially both men are going to be forced to run. I mean, Tyler has double the touchdowns that Fafana has, and of course, in terms of passing, don't expect a whole lot of passing between Lavati and Ballard, as well as receiving. Expect a lot of rushing. So I'm thinking, even though I'm well, actually, you know what? Even though I did kind of say I was going to pick Navy, you know what? I think I'm going to go Army. I'm going to go Army. I thought maybe I wasn't sure how the defense would be able to react to Navy, but you know what? Since they do run the ball a little more than Navy, and their defense is going to give up a lot, but I believe they have enough of a running game to where I believe they can make it out of reach. Because just peeking over at the stats, I mean, Fafana has more rushing yards, but not as many touchdowns as Tyler. And Tyler doesn't even have as many carries yet. He has double the touchdowns Fafana has. So I'm thinking between him and knowing Army and Navy, they each like to have their running quarterbacks. Looking at the running game comparison, I'm gonna lean Army here. I'll lean Army. They seem to have a better running game, and it's gonna be in Philly. Home field advantage will likely help. It's gonna be cold as well, so that means they will keep the ball on the ground and kill as much clock as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead with Army. That'll be my official pick on this one. It is a dead even matchup at -110 down the board. Over under 33. Folks, we're going to go under here. We're going to go under. Army Navy games are not notoriously for high scoring. They're notorious for a lot of running. Like basically the running game taking over. Like you'll see some passes here and there, but mostly it's running game and killing the clock and basically playing the possession battle. I'm thinking Army can edge out the possession battle against Navy by a little bit, just by a little bit. Like as I look at the stats and as I look at the comparisons, I'm thinking they can edge it out just a little bit here. I'm gonna go Army. Go ahead, since it's an even line. -110 is not terrible. Keep your eyes on the live line though as we get to Thursday, Friday, and of course right before kickoff Saturday, which is scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you monitor the line. And funny enough, just looking at the matchup predictor, slight edge to Army, but again, only slight. It's literally down the middle. So remember, folks, keep your eye on that live line. And if you're looking for a big bet, I think Army is the bet to make for the weekend. And folks, I hope you enjoyed the game. It's gonna be a fun matchup. I'm thinking in terms of a score. I'm thinking maybe 4 touchdowns between the teams. Maybe maybe like one passing touchdown, about 3, 4 rushing touchdowns. It's going to be one of those 28-21 type of matchups. Over unders 33, but I'm thinking like it's going to be a 14-17 type of thing, or actually no 17-14 type of game where Army wins, and they're like at 31 points, just under the over under. So go ahead and hammer Army for this one. Throw them in your parlays. Kick back and watch the game on a Saturday. This is the final normal college football game of the entire year. After this, nothing but bowl games and bowl season. And my friends, I will have an official bowl season preview for you guys. I will have the official preview for you next week. I'm going to preview every single game, give you my picks for every single game, as well as some underdog picks. I'm going to wait for the lines to develop and wait for all the movement to be out there first before I go ahead and hammer my picks. But everyone, thank you all for listening in. I hope you all enjoy the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And trust me, you've never seen Army Navy, definitely check it out. absolutely, I highly recommend it. Everyone, enjoy yourselves. Till then, I'm out.